Good afternoon. This is Speak On It. And today we will have a little more time and we are going to explore some different type of issues. And I think one of the things we want to look at is not just the heroin, opioid type of situation, but we want to look at some of the things that leads to this. This piece that you see on your screen right now is something that it's painful. And as it says at the top, that when you look at this and you look at the kid in the car, his parent, I'm assuming they're his parents, and his condition. And those are not just people that you would think, are they on heroin, are they on meth, are they on opioids? At the end of the day, it don't matter. Because this kid is having imprinted into his total being his parents. And some of you always say, well, why do you care? Why do you care? What blue? No, you're missing the point. The point is, regardless of whether or not it's a Negro family or person or some other, that ain't the point. The point is that society has faked us out. I was listening today, and I'm going to tell you a little something. I'm a little confused how the politicians, since this new governor, have just seemed like they're having a ball. And I was listening as I was driving this morning, and they were talking about these 4 women that was really behind the marijuana situation that we have here. But I just wonder, do they see the connection with this? But there was a meeting, and one of these, the 2 of them was colored Negroes, and the other 2, one I think Hispanic, one white. And I think the white one, family down in Florida, or whatever color she is, she ain't dark skinned. They have the biggest cannabis business in the state, but yet she's a politician in Illinois. But apparently something she said in a meeting they had the other day between some so-called important other people, white folks of her nature, and she said that we are the cannabis BITCH. I want you to think about that mentality. These are politicians, but the arrogance of what they are doing. But what they are doing is disregarding the reality. The reality is this. We know for sure that in a minute, this whole idea of cannabis, this whole idea of it's okay to do drugs. Come on, y'all. And it is. I ain't hating, man. I mean, it is what it is. And I said it before. I'm glad that they're doing it because, I'm a city employee. And I like the idea that the mayor is going to say she's going to use some of this dope money and this gambling money to deal with that pension. So I ain't complaining. But what I am saying is this: what about 40 years from now, when they already done at Hillsdale College and other colleges, they've already proven that the marijuana plant is a medical miracle. But it's been that all the time. It was that before they outlawed it. It was that before they made alcohol legal during Prohibition. Then Al Capone there, when we used to look at the Untouchables. And then it was marijuana illegal. But now you're talking about recreational. What is recreational marijuana? Tell me, I wish somebody would tell me, what do you mean recreational? Do you mean that people can drive down the street and stink up the whole universe? Do you mean that people can just drive down the street, stink up the whole area, but you can't drive down the street with your cigarette or your cigar smoke? Recreation. So you see what we're going to have to do? Now they're cutting loose something that people been doing for the last 8 or 9 years anyway in Chicago, recreational, illegal, it didn't matter. People been doing their dope thing anyway. But the bottom line is this. At the end of the day, mark my word, most folks in Chicago gonna probably wonder, why didn't Chicago do like Naperville and just say no? That's what they're gonna wonder. They're gonna wonder, what did Naperville know? Them white folks out there in that rich suburb, they gonna wonder, what did they know? What did they know that they said no? Naperville say, no, we ain't going. There ain't gonna be no recreational marijuana here. Because our kids doing all right as they are, and whatever experiment you all are running, we don't want none of that. Now, we're gonna be mad, those that live in the inner city. We're gonna be mad at the people in Naperville 40 years from now, because their people gonna be different. Some of the studies say that the relationship between mental health and marijuana could be something that should be taken into consideration. And this is no disrespect to none of y'all that I know. But I have to say this. Some of y'all are sort of forgetful. Marijuana might be good for a lot of things, but they say, but you know, if you're doing it too much, particularly before you get 24, you're killing your brain cells, and a lot of them don't grow back. Now, maybe they're going to be able to do some stem cell implants, or they're going to be able to do some type of cloning, like taking a toenail or so and putting it in your brain, and you're going to get some toenail juice as a thought. I don't know. But the bottom line is, all of this is connected to the so-called heroin opioid crisis. But it's not a heroin crisis, y'all. It's actually an opioid crisis. You understand? This lady you saw in that car with that kid in the back, that's what this is about. This $900 million that Trump is releasing, that's not for those heroin addicts. That's for that woman in that car and that man at the steering wheel and that kid in the back. That's what that's for. That ain't for those older black men in the inner city that's dying because of ODs. That's for those people in rural areas that are challenged too. So we need to keep it in perspective, and it's not a racial thing necessarily that I'm trying to suggest. What I'm suggesting is Naperville is considered very rich, but they saying we don't need recreational. Municipal, I could understand that. But hell, I'm going to get me some hemp oil. I'm going to get some hemp cream. I would get me some hemp buds, but it smells just like this stink they got out there. And to get in your skin, you're walking around, people think you're smoking dope. But I know that oil and that salve, I'm going to get some of that. Yeah, if it's going to make you feel better, going to reduce aches and pains, going to make your mind, bam, like that. Because what they're saying is that the marijuana they smoked in my day, it was about 2% of whatever that chemical is that gets you high. But the marijuana they grow in the laboratories today is about 25%. You understand that? The clone stuff that they finna sell you as recreational is worse than the stuff your kids been selling illegally. So once you get caught up in this, you'll be able to understand the message that's in the music that we are about to play. But before we get to that message, it's something else I want you to see, because they're misdirecting us. Alcohol is what alcohol is. No doubt about that. Tobacco is what tobacco is. No doubt about that. But now, this other thing, and maybe he find that young lady that is in the hospital that's laying up because of vaping. This thing they replaced, the thing they replaced cigarette smoking with. This thing here has created an epidemic And they ain't talking about it a lot, but a whole lot of these young white folk that are vaping, they in the hospital like her. This stuff is moving on them faster than any tobacco was moving. So this is another epidemic developing. So Trump just said, no, y'all can't sell this stuff and it's got the little candy flavors because that's enticing our children like the opioid did. And they vaping it and it tastes so good until it's collapsing their lungs. Think, all of this extra help to deal with stress and frustrations in society. Now, that's that girl. Now, check this. It ain't just her. Now, here's another one, same time frame. A little white boy. Here he is in the hospital just like that gal. You understand me? There's the boy. There's the gal. This is a problem. Because they are falling like flies after black flag has been sprayed. Because they smoking this thing, and this thing is killing these kids faster than the tobacco was killing their parents. So they are not talking about cancer. They're talking about collapsed lungs. All of this is happening right here, right now. And all of this is part of this whole initiative that we talk about when we talk about, well, when I talk about, I ain't going to say we because I don't know what they talk about on this level, but when I talk about crisis, I don't make a difference between marijuana, as they used to present it in the dope fashion, alcohol, tobacco, vaping. I don't make no difference. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, it's all substance dependency. So whether you're talking about heroin or so-called medication, at the end of the day, all of it is destroying the natural human. And unless we pay close attention, our children and grandchildren will be facing a crisis. Yes, marijuana has always been used by certain people, and there are certain people that have always sworn about how it was a great medical support. But these people spent billions of dollars to keep you from getting in the game. But now, because they want to make billions of dollars, and they got a few little so-called cannabis, B-I-T-C-H-E-S, running around. That's what they call themselves. Hell, I didn't make it up. At least I'm showing them some respect. I'm spelling it. But for a female to declare themselves that in their elected office, that shows you how little they care about the voter. Now, somebody is going to holler me too, because some man going to crack and say, oh, that's one of those da-da-da. And then that particular female is going to do what? Follow suit. You see the games they play? And now all of y'all all geeked up. It's the time of the woman. It's the this. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, it's the time of the woman because she can set your ignorant behind up. She called herself a B-I-T-C-H. If you look at her cross-eyed, you go to jail. Now, how do you have elected officials running around town talking about we are the cannabis B-I-T-C-H? Get out of here. And don't get me started on that because I could go a whole ways, but sometimes I get tired of all of this, the way you just blow up the woman, particularly the black one right along or not. The black man don't count, he don't vote, he don't nothing. It's all about, it's the time of the woman. Get the hell out of here. So you got two for the price of one in City Hall? Don't play with me. Don't play. You playing games and people are getting addicted to stuff. It ain't just the time of the woman. It's the time for being fair. It's the time for having morals. It's the time for having values. It's the time for showing respect and being responsible and being accountable. And what's happening right now is that politicians are not being accountable. They are not showing respect, and you have people going out And they are dying, they are overdosing, and politicians are playing games. That's what you're doing. You politicians are playing games because it's expedient to use something. Do you really think that the person on the street that's been selling marijuana all these years running from you, do you really think the person that's been buying from them coming to your store? Huh? Do you really think? The only thing that's changed is now they don't have to be so scared. Now they can sell their product. That's what happened. And we thankful for that. I'm glad now they can hustle without running from you. But let's be clear. Those dispensaries are not being designed for you. Those dispensaries are being designed for this cannabis BITCH family, for the governor's family, for all of those white billionaires that's invested. That's for their family. But I understand we got a caller, so I'm going to just shut up and let you deal with this here. All right, caller, speak on it.
I want to make a quick point. When it comes to blacks, people don't understand there's people making money off their misery. I have said that for years. It's some guy around looking like Colonel Sanders, and we are the chickens. And they cut us up, and they making money off of us. And we don't realize that. And we look at all these different programs that they have, they're making money. People don't remember years ago, downstate, they didn't want to have those prisons in their community. They sat back and they thought about something, that these prisons, they provide goods and services, and people can make money off in terms of goods and services. And when you look at those prisons, we're not the one that building them, but we the ones inside them. Mm-hmm. And every time you look around, there's somebody, some type of way, some type of how, is making money. Every time some black person gets shot, they wind up in a wheelchair. Guess what? That's at least $250 in terms of goods and services they're going to have to need. And somebody's paying for that, and somebody's making money off of that.
That's true. And I think at the end of the day, we realize what's happening, but somehow we seem to get distracted. Yes, they need money, but I have come to believe that one of the biggest problems, they had a headline that was showing how much money is spent. And the mayor saying she tired of that too. How much money is being spent on these lawsuits and lawyers because of misconduct by the police. I mean, serious millions. I'm almost want to say $500 million easy. And it's been kicked around that these people need to have their own insurance. That when they do something that's against the job description, whatever that entails, that if there's a suit, they get sued. Like a lot of places like CPS and other places, if you want to be a vendor, dude, you got to have some serious insurance. But yet you could be the police, and you don't have to have no insurance. You can just do all you want to, and then they sue the city, and the city, the taxpayers pay out millions of dollars because you was a fool. Not once, but 16 or 20 times. Yeah, they need to pay for their own insurance. And I like the idea that she said, look, we finna put a freeze on city hiring, but I really like the idea that she said, and we including the police. Because the police been getting away for the last 22 years or more, talking about that same thing. We need 1,000 new cops. We need 1,000 new cops. You get them, and then you still need them. And then they still make all that money in overtime. Yeah. So now she said, we ain't gonna have no more of y'all for a minute. And that's good. I was looking at a situation yesterday. This woman come to a school, get out of the car to jump on a grammar school student. Now you got 8 carloads of police there, and they didn't arrest her. And I thought about all of that money. 2 sergeants and all these polices. And she there acting a fool. I'd have locked her, her kid, and her car up. But they didn't. Because they know if they lock her up, Kim Fox gonna let her out. But I would have locked her up anyway. Because what's happening is police are getting paid to do what? Crowd control? Yet a woman can be in her house and get shot in the head. Thanks to the police, they recognized the bullet hole before it was too late, and they made it a priority to get emergency support to get her to the hospital. But these are things that we are excusing. Back to what the caller is saying, we are excusing these things by being distracted. Everything is about money, but they are wasting money. So it don't matter how much money you generate if you're gonna keep wasting it. Like with this vaping. I mean, okay, it might be cool. Once again, because I'm around them schools in the day, this morning I'm looking at the parent. She just blowing that vapor all in the air. She got her kids with her, 3 little kids, and she just standing right there on school ground and all that stuff blowing up. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, damn, don't she read? Don't she see? People are falling out. People in the hospitals. The president and a whole lot of politicians are talking about we got to do something about this vaping because this stuff is doing worse than cancer because of tobacco. But yet she's standing there on school grounds and thinking that just because we can't smell it, it ain't hurting anyone. It's hurting her. So if she died, who gonna take care of her kids? Wasted money. Caller, speak on it.
Yes, you know what? I really love the things that you say on your program because you get to the heart of the matter. We have to go back to raising our children the way we were raised. We didn't have to have a cell phone to know to be home on time. We didn't have to know that coming to the house when the street lights came on. When the street lights came on, we were in the house.
That's right.
So until we go back to raising our children the way we're supposed to, and I wish ministers start telling the truth about that Bible. That Bible is about us, the black people, because we stopped doing the laws, just the 10 Commandments. If we did that, we would stay out of trouble. And yes, all the penitentiaries are built in downstate and all those places, so everybody can have a job down there. They don't have to worry about going to work. It's modern day slavery in its finest.
Well, thank you for your call, and I agree. And I think once again, and like I say, today we mixing it. Today it's sort of like we doing this, but we doing a speak on it, a traditional speak on it. That's why you see these paper headlines. That's how I got started with that newspaper. And now we got the support that we can do something on this monitor, and that's good. But, I think it was Sunday. Kanye West, I think he had a gospel something or another where they went to a place and he was there holding up the Bible and woo, woo, woo. Okay. But now, there's a lot of discussion by some, was that correct or was that a political stunt for Trump? Now, how do you be what you are and you standing up there holding up a Bible on one hand and Negroes getting ready to lynch you on the other hand? I don't know when he declared himself to be a preacher, and that's okay if he is and ain't, but like the lady just stated, there's a lot of formulas in the Bible, even this slave Bible that you all use, this King James Version. There is a lot of formulas in there if you know how to use them. I mean, they wrote it to keep you a slave, but some of them know the keys that's in the book that can open the door of salvation. But the preacher allows people to play with that. And now people have lost confidence in the preacher. Now I'm going to say this, and I'm coming to you in a minute, Carl. Leon Finnan, somebody, we grew up with. A lot of people know when I say we grew up with, I mean I grew up Lee in his name, and I understand about TWN, the games and all that, and Woodlawn. Now he is a preacher. Look at the disgrace that he's in. And when they talk about it on these radio shows and so forth, everybody's saying they already knew. Everybody's saying this and that. But everybody's saying that's just how preachers do. That's how politicians do. Why did we allow them to get to that point? That's on us. We allowed the preacher to become a pimp. We allowed the politician to become a pimp. We did that. We saw what they was doing, but we said, it's all right. No, it ain't all right. That's why this dude out west, notorious pimp, name was a pimp name. Had a church and congregation, and he was there with all of those meetings and all of those conferences. He was even called a bishop. Yeah. We did that. So whether or not you're talking about opioids or heroin or cocaine, religion can be addictive too. And unless we pay attention, all of that will send us to hell. Yes, Carla, speak on it.
Dr. Malik,
Yes, sir.
if I'm lying about something, you call me a liar right then and there, okay? I don't mind. The mayor is saying that the city is $800 million in the hole, but yet they're using $1.3 billion to give developers in that up in Lincoln, in Chicago, for the development. Now, you $800 million in the hole, but yet you can use $1.3 billion to give to a developer. That don't make any sense. Now, I'm waiting for you to call me a liar. I don't have my facts or anything straight.
Man, I ain't gonna call you no liar, because hell, I agree with you. That was a deal that they cut with Rahm Emanuel, and when the campaign was going on, the politicians tried to make like that, woo-woo-woo. But when they got in there, they said, okay, let's do it. Yeah, I mean, all of this was cut. And what let me just say this here. If you all ain't figured this out yet, something wrong with us. Ain't no way in the hell Toni Preckwinkle lost that election. How could she? President of the board? Chairman of the party? Them white folks taught her a lesson, and they taught you a lesson. She represented the Democratic everything in this area. But then they decided to sit down on her. And then one of Rahm Emanuel's and Daley's persons, who I happen to like, that talked about change. But that ain't what she was doing when she was working for she was working for Daley and Rahm Emanuel. So one of the newspapers decided in the last 2 weeks that she was going to be mad for the public. But hell, that was already decided before the race started. So now we looking at it and say, well, she's supposed to be the person of change. Yeah, elect the school board. Well, they say there's a little politicking going on, and that might not come about either right away. And she know why. And that's her business. And now this development thing you talking about, yeah, but she got to clean up for that. But remember, she is not a politician. She is not a mayor. She is learning to be a mayor. Toni Preckwinkle is a politician. She learned to be a politician. She was a school teacher. Now I know all of that's water behind the flood, but I ain't gonna let you forget because you didn't get wet enough. I listened to one of the radio shows the other day, and Preckwinkle was on there, and she made it clear to the host, look here, don't y'all get all faked out by the media telling y'all that there's now I'm paraphrasing, that there's a lot of friction between me and the mayor. We two black women and da-da-da-da-woo. But the media is going to just keep doing this. So they're going to make you hate both of them. Feel me? Don't fall for it. Yeah, this man is going to cut deals like Rahm Emanuel wanted her to cut them deals. Like Daley and all them other white folks that didn't want to be part of it, Preckwinkle, knowing what to do. They wanted this man to be there to do what they wanted done. I said that. I did say that. And I mean just that. She got to learn the game. But by the time she learned the game, a lot of folks would have said, man, she said this and she doing that. Yes. Yes. And she said she was going to do no more than 2 terms. But the other day, she said if it costs her political aspirations, she'll be the fall person for that. But she gonna do what she gonna do. Let's wait and see, y'all. All right, caller. Speak on it.
Yeah, how you doing, Doc?
How you doing, James?
Okay, Okay, now you said about the media. Now, okay, Al Chopper, like I said, Al Chopper ain't got nothing to do with it. It's you know how they like they went after Al Chopper, and then like you said, when you found those things on your computer, and you said everybody gonna be just like the drug dealer, and like you right, the governor, and then you gonna say everybody gonna be bobbing and weaving, and it's like your wish is coming true, Doc, and the media, they all behind all this.
Well, James, thank you for your comment. And now what we're going to do is we're going to step into a little message in the music. Now, some of
I
this,
was wondering about our yesterday.
just look
digging through
and
trouble.
enjoy.
And to say the least, somebody went to a hell of a lot of trouble to make sure that when we looked things up, we wouldn't fare too well. And we would come up with totally unreliable pictures of
Now, I'm hoping you all can hear this interview, but this is Gail Scott Heron.
Such as they are.
Man, in our day, he was the man.
Something. And this is what I got so far. First, white folks discovered Africa. They claimed it fair and square. Cecil Rhodes couldn't have been robbing nobody because, hell, there wasn't nobody there. And white folks brought all the civilization because there wasn't none around. How could the folks be civilized when wasn't nobody writing nothing down? And just to prove all of their suspicions, well, didn't take too long. They found out that there were whole tribes of people in plain sight running around with no clothes on. That's right. The men, the women, the young, and the old righteous folks covered their eyes. And no time was spent considering the environment. Hell no, this just wasn't civilized. And another piece of information they had, or at least this is what we were taught, is that unlike the civilized people of Europe, these tribal units actually fought. And yes, there was some crude implements, and yes, there was primitive art, and yes, they were masters of hunting and fishing, and courtesy came from the heart. And yes, there was love and medicine, religion, intertribal communication by drum, but no paper, no pencils, and no other utensils, and hell, these folks never even heard of a gun. And this is why the colonies came, to stabilize the land, because the dark continent had copper and gold, and the discoverers had themselves a plan. They would discover all the places with promise. You didn't need no titles and deeds. Then they would appoint people to make everything legal, to sanction the trickery and greed. And back in the jungle, when the natives got restless, they would call it guerrilla attack. And they would never describe that the folks finally got wise and decided that they would fight back. And still, we are victims of word games. Semantics is always a bitch. Places once referred to as underdeveloped are now called mineral rich. And the game goes on eternally. Unity kept just beyond reach. Egypt and Libya used to be in Africa. They've now been moved to the Middle East. There are examples galore, I assure you. But if interpreting were left up to me, I'd be sure every time folks knew this version wasn't mine, which is why it is called his story.
Now, you're gonna see this other piece, but just listen, pay attention, and you'll see.
Say it's all right.
Gil Scott-Heron's music has been unusually far-sighted, and his songs about substance abuse have turned out to be horribly prescient of his own terrible decline.
See that black boy over there running scared, this old man in the bottom. Well now, he done quit his 9 to 5, he drinks 4 times, now he's hanging in the bottom.
His song about alcoholism was based on meeting people at his local liquor store who'd fallen on hard times.
And I got so curious, I had to go out there and sit down and talk to them. An exposition who had been dunked because he was caught performing abortions.
Helping young girls along.
A school teacher who had somehow juggled her grades to get somebody else promoted that shouldn't have been. An air traffic controller who had made a mistake while he was on duty and run this flight into a mountain. He had 2 Navy jets on his screen and gave the wrong instructions to one of them. Never got over it. Left his office that day and never went back. These were not people whose ambition had been to be an alcoholic. They could have gotten into that career much earlier.
See that black boy over there running scared, this old man got a problem. Who's his
But there are different kinds of folks out there who get lost that way, and we shouldn't be so judgmental about it.
And you were one of those people, I guess. I mean, you've had your own well-documented problems.
Yeah, I got caught with $20 worth of stuff and did a year and a half. I don't think that turned me into Pablo Escobar.
Did that period affect your music, do you think, the way you saw life?
No, I'm saying that I still had some of the same songs that people wanted. People didn't ask me, well, why don't you play us something from your period when you were in jail? Well, I didn't have a piano. so I didn't write anything. I didn't write any music then. I wrote some poems and some different things because that's what I do. But you're not always on your way to the studio or on your way home from it.
I understand that. So anyone who thinks that you had a serious problem and you were in denial about it has got it wrong.
Well, if I was in denial about it, I woke up every day in jail. I couldn't deny where I was. You might deny some shit when you're on the street, not in jail. I don't have a problem. But I'm saying, when you wake up and you're in the joint, not only do you have a problem, you have a problem with admitting that you have a problem.
Long ago the clock washed midnight away, bringing the dawn, bringing the dawn, bringing the dawn. Oh God, I must be dreaming.
Rumours of a new Gil Scott-Heron album have circulated for a decade or more. Now it's here, or very nearly, thanks to a producer from London.
When I was sitting there drinking beer and trying to start another letter to you, don't know how many times I didn't write again last night.
Well, he was in jail when we first met, and the thing that was unusual about that was
the jail.
Yeah. His spirit and his outlook struck me as very intact, despite the circumstances.
Where did?
I was obviously finding the surroundings quite intimidating, and I think that was possibly amusing him slightly. It's a different voice that he's got now. It's so powerful, and you're hearing so much experience and so much stuff that's gone on, that to me it's at least as good as his old voice.
A British publisher has reissued Scott-Heron's novels, and a memoir is in the works.
What we're going to see is kind of what we saw happening with Johnny Cash in the last few years of his life. Now, I say that, I hope Gil's going to live a lot longer than a few more years. But I think creatively he's in the best place that he's been in since I've known him, and that's 20 years.
You can't name where I ain't been down. Ain't no place I ain't been down.
Down, but not out. And don't go pinning too much of that pioneer stuff on Gil Scott-Heron either. He's looking forward.
You're credited with that kind of thing. It means you're looking ahead, not behind you. And that's what most people are. They're behind me. They came behind me, and if they're following me, good. I can't turn around and see how many people are following in my footsteps or just following me with a stick in their heads.
Get together, y'all. Gil Scott-Heron.
Don't look back, something may be gaining on you.
Well, you know, sometimes you have to do that. And that's one of the things I like about being free. It ain't enough to just talk. On another speak on it, we talk about raising the voices of the Negro. And that's what we're doing here today. We're raising the voice. And Gil Scott-Heron is a perfect person to look at because he was a revolutionary, what we thought was revolutionary voice. But he told us then the revolution will not be televised. And you know what y'all doing is in the bottle. What you're doing is acid dust. He told us. But what we did, many of us, we played it off. What we did, we looked at the symbol they used for reefer, the leaves, and we said, well, this is it. But no, that ain't true. what we did is we picked through the bud of the reefer and we threw it away because we didn't want to hit it popping in the paper. But now they tell us it's the bud where the healing is. But we were smoking the stalk. Think how they have played us. And then you look at the people in Jamaica, you like to use that image that the Jamaicans just smoke tons of dope. But now we did a piece not long ago where, what's his name, Mike Tyson got a business that generates over $500,000 a month in revenue from his marijuana farm. And that he's able to speak, or should I say to smoke, $10,000 worth of reefer a week. He ought to be the healthiest Negro in the world. He got the money. Now we're trying to get a piece from James Brown. He got a piece that he talked about heroin. I hope we can get that because it's powerful. But once again, he was a pioneer like Gil Scott-Heron. So we're going to try to deal with this James Brown because we want to educate you, because the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force, they know what they know. But sometimes some of the rest of us know what they not know. And what I know is that all of this is connected. So we're going to connect some dots today because we have been blessed to be able to be here a little longer than we would have been on ordinary circumstances. And we're taking these opportunities to do real Speak On It. Speak On It is a therapeutic process of empowerment. So let's see what Brother James Brown is talking about. And
Godfather of soul, Mr. Dynamite, and the hardest working man in showbiz. But very soon, he may be known as the Defendant. Grammy-winning soul singer James Brown is about to embark on a South American tour, but it's this tour that prompted his latest brush with the law. Brown says that he and his wife had an argument because she wasn't going on the tour with him. Adrian Brown and South Carolina police say that in the argument, it resulted, as a matter of fact, in Brown assaulting his wife with a lead pipe and firing a gun at a car that she was in. These are charges that Brown denies. He was released yesterday on $15,000 bond. He joins us from Atlanta to discuss the charges, and we welcome you, James Brown. How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America. There's nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong at all? You're not in any difficulty, but you're out on bond.
No, I'm not.
Have all the charges been dropped?
Yeah, I'm out on love.
Oh, well, are you out on love or out of love? Which is it?
Out on love. Alone from night to night, you find me.
Now, James, this isn't the first time you and your wife have had a problem. Are the two of you going to be able to work this out?
Let's talk about some music.
You want to talk about music, and you don't want to talk about what happened?
No, it's all over.
Well, let's talk about your tour. When are you leaving?
We're leaving tomorrow.
And where are you going?
Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Now, your fans will have read all about this, James. Aren't you concerned about that?
No, Dankeschön. I'm concerned because there's nothing wrong.
And what are you going to say to your fans when they ask you some questions about it?
I'm going to say I feel good. Papa's got a brand new bag. It's a man's world.
Well, that's the second time we've heard that in 2 days. That's very interesting. Now, don't leave us, James. You stay right there.
I'm not going to leave.
We have to talk about. Well, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing on this tour.
What'd you say?
What are you going to be doing on this tour?
I'm going to be doing Papa's got a brand new bag, living in America, sex machine, get up off of that thing. I feel good. Jam.
Now, I understand that you have already... James, I have to ask you one serious question here. I understand you already have started divorce proceedings. Does that mean that you're now eligible?
No. Yes, I'm eligible. I'm saying I want to mingle.
You want to mingle?
Yeah.
Now, the women love you when you get out there. Why do you think that is?
What'd you say?
The women love you when you get out there.
Why is that, ladies?
Well, I'm asking you.
Huh? Because I look
good.
That is? I smell good. I feel good.
And you sing good.
And make love good.
Oh. Well, there we are. We don't have to ask anybody else. We got that from the source. There you are. Now, you're involved in publishing a gospel magazine. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Second Coming. It's out of Augusta, Georgia, it's Ankle. Joseph P. Young is the editor, and James Brown is one of the advisors. And we're doing a fantastic job. The Second Coming. It features, on this week, I think we have the Pope and I believe the Williams brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And next week we're going to have Reverend Al Sharpton, I think, on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be doing a lot of good things, and hopefully we'll get Brother Ted Turner on the cover. Ted, where you at?
James, we want to thank you for being with us today
Wait
and
a
giving
minute,
us
I
an
just got
opportunity.
here.
Oh, is there something more you want to say that we haven't
I want
covered?
to say a lot of things.
Okay, go ahead.
I love America. I love everybody.
Well,
I feel good.
It sounds to me as though you're not troubled by any of this at all.
This is a man's world.
Thanks for reminding us of that. Every once in a while, we forget.
Get up
but
off
we've
of that
remembered again. James, good luck on your tour. Thanks for being with us. I guess we're going to hear lots more.
Hasta luego.
Okay, hasta luego.
Now, let me just tell you a little bit about that piece. Now, that's how they played us, man. Now, James Brown was, he was feeling good. He wasn't lying. If you saw that video, you could tell he was feeling good, but they used that. And they still use it. Not only did they use it on him, but that's what was happening in that day, and it was okay. Until they got ready to lock you up, they got ready to punish you. But at the end of these people's lives, they judged them and then discarded them. And I think that's what we have to watch as it relates to us getting all excited over marijuana, over vaping, over anything that they bring us that they had programmed us against. We need to pay attention. Now, in that particular interview, anybody that was looking out for his better interests would have counseled him against that interview. But that's how business was done back then. As long as the Negro was a clown and an entertainer, much like he is today, it's the clowns and the entertainers that they listen to. It's the clowns and entertainers that are your leaders. It's the clowns and entertainers that they choose to represent you. You see? And that's why you can have one elected official representing four to say, we are the cannabis, B-I-T-C-H. Come on, y'all. That's the garbage. But parents call their daughters that now. Men don't have to call them that. They call themselves that. You see how this thing has slipped? But James, if he was here now, he would understand that this is not a man's world. Probably never has been. But the way he was talking and the way he was acting and the way they was promoting back in that day, it switched. Now a man is not even a tool. You know what I'm saying? A man is just a thing that's tolerated. And I was looking at something the other day where in a few years they're going to release it on the public where you won't need a woman's womb to produce a child. They even got men already now that's having children and breastfeeding the children once they get here. So in a minute, the whole idea of how nature used to be, you're going to need plenty of marijuana just to cope with the situation and to heal some of the spiritual scars that you have, since they say it's such a healing plant. You're going to need it. And I ain't got nothing against women, but I'm telling you, what's happening is this. We are allowing ourselves to get off course. There's a natural order in the universe. And once we get too far off that order and we begin to discount men or women, then we need to be careful. Yes, caller, speak on it.
I just had to throw this on and say this first. First of all, I like my women to be organic. I like them to be born a woman, okay? Not anything added or artificial or anything like that. But the point I want to make is this. Not too long ago, I think even on your show, and I can't keep striving this point, people are steady making money off of other people's misery. When you look at the crack cocaine and you look at the other drugs, you had a guest not too long ago, and we look at the drug recovery industry, it's a lot of money. And the guest said there is a treatment out there that will stop people want the urges for the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want that out there because why? People are making money. That's one of the biggest, one of the biggest like courses in college is drug rehab, drug rehabilitation. It's a lot of money. When you look at a lot of these hospitals that was community hospitals that closed down, now they drug rehab. But once again, if I'm wrong about anything, please correct me. But still, we are like the chickens. And there's some guy like Colonel Sanders cutting us up, and they making money off of us.
Well, yeah, I guess at the end of this whole scenario they call life, we all are playing a part. They used to say the whole world is a stage, and we all whatever we do. And yeah, it appears that the Negro, especially, is the puppet. And yeah, these millions, I think Illinois, the guesses stated they was getting 28 million, but the other day they said Illinois getting 38 million of this pot of money for the opioid crisis. And that Congressman Davis, Senator Durbin, and, of course, LaShawn Ford, they're all doing their part to be sure that the West Side and the South Side are not passed by and are not just used. And that's good. But yeah, they have dope like back in the day, and they still got it. Methadone. But hell, people was doing methadone and still doing heroin. And this new dope they got, they say it kills your craving for it. But that's what they said about meth. But one of the things that I learned when I was a practitioner in that area, from those that was doing it, they could have railroad tracks up and down their arms. And they let you know they still looking for what? The caboose. So they do whatever they had to do, but they were still catching that train. And I think until we began to look at what make people go off, like that little boy we looked at with his mama nodding out in the car, and the man at the driver's side nodding out, and he's sitting in the back. That's what make a lot of people go to substance. Now, when you talk about black folks, what make them go, well, back in the day, and in James Brown them day, and in the entertainers' day, they blamed relationships. But in this day, we blame Trump. Feel what I'm saying? We blame somebody all the time, but sometimes trauma takes place, and the next thing you know, and they even stated it, that a lot of this substance dependency is hereditary. And as a result of that, some people are more prone to do that. And I think what we have to do is understand this. That little boy back there might turn out to be a cop. And then he might do opioids. And then they would need Narcan to pop him in his lip. Or should I say in his hip. Like the hip we see there that he see of his mother. All of this stuff is connected. And that's why this show tonight, and I thank Can TV for allowing me this opportunity to get more out. Because every now and then we need to be able to get more out. Because sometimes people at home don't get to see it, but like to tell folk, they can always go to Can TV Nonprofit Services, and they can always look at any show that we've done, or they can just go to Dr. Kofi Malik on YouTube and see some of the shows that me, Boys, and others have done. Ain't nobody looking for no salute. Ain't nobody looking for no credit. Ain't nobody looking for none of that. We just telling you there's a way that you can still keep up with some of the material we've been talking about for years. But I understand we about out of time now, and I want to thank you for at least paying attention. And, Gail Scott and James Brown, a lot of stuff we couldn't use because, it is what it is. It used to be you could use YouTube material, the artists, but now they don't want you to because they think you taking their money. And now you can't use footage. You can't use major TV news stations. So there it is. So until next time,